The world is not divided into good and bad people. It is divided into those who govern themselves and those who are governed by impulse. Most people don't lose because they're stupid. They lose because they are leaking constantly. They leak emotion. They leak words. They leak reactions. They announce their hunger. They broadcast their frustration. They reveal their limits before anyone even asks. And they don't realize the damage this causes. Because discipline isn't just a personal trait. It's a signal. Every time you hesitate, someone notices. Every time you break a routine, someone senses it. Every time you react too fast, explain too much, or chase relief, you reveal your pressure points. You think no one is watching. They are. Not consciously, instinctively. Human beings are predators of predictability. What can be anticipated can be exploited. What is emotionally available can be controlled. Here's the brutal truth you were never taught. People don't disrespect you because you're weak. They disrespect you because you're readable. Discipline is what makes a man unreadable. Not loud discipline, not performative discipline, but quiet, relentless control that never asks for permission. This is why some people command rooms without speaking, why others are ignored even when they shout. It's not charisma, it's containment. And if you've ever felt underestimated, if you've ever sensed that people test you, push you, or subtly step over you, if you've ever wondered why effort alone hasn't changed how you're treated, this is the reason. Stay with me. You were trained to believe that effort is enough, that if you work harder, stay kind, stay consistent, the world will eventually notice. It won't. Effort, by itself, does not command respect. It only produces output. And output without control is easily exploited. Kindness was sold to you as virtue, but kindness without boundaries becomes permission. Permission for people to interrupt you, to use you, to step past you without resistance. Consistency was framed as freedom, but consistency without strategy becomes a cage, a routine that serves others more than it serves you. This is the quiet failure most people never name. They are busy, they are tired, they are trying, and yet nothing shifts. Because power is not impressed by sincerity. Power responds to structure. The disciplined do not advertise their effort. They do not narrate their struggle. They do not justify their process. The undisciplined do. They explain. They defend. They seek understanding instead of leverage, and the world responds accordingly. That's why you feel unseen even when you contribute, ignored even when you perform, disposable even when you comply, not because you lack value, but because you have made yourself predictable. You are playing a competitive game with cooperative rules. You are following moral instructions in a strategic environment. You are offering transparency in a world that rewards opacity. Others are not more talented than you. They are simply less available. They conserve energy. They control access. They act without emotional leakage. While you are trying to be understood, they are positioning themselves to be unavoidable. This is the uncomfortable truth. The system does not reward effort. It rewards control. And until you understand that, you will keep working harder while remaining easy to overlook. Centuries before psychology had a name, Niccolò Machiavelli saw through the lie that still comforts people today. He understood that human beings are not driven by goodness. They are driven by advantage. What looks like morality is often calculation. What sounds like principle is usually fear. And what passes for virtue collapses the moment status is threatened. People do not follow the most ethical person in the room. They follow the most contained one. Restraint signals power. Consistency signals inevitability. And emotional unavailability signals danger. This is why discipline changes how you are treated long before it changes what you achieve. The undisciplined man negotiates with reality. He explains himself. He seeks approval. He waits for permission. The disciplined man does none of this. He moves without announcement. He repeats without complaint. He acts without emotional noise. And the human mind reacts instinctively, because what cannot be emotionally moved cannot be easily dominated. Machiavelli understood that ignorance is not innocence, it is exposure. To misunderstand human nature is to step onto the board as a pawn, valuable only as long as you serve someone else's strategy. Understanding, however, changes your position. It gives you leverage, not over others first, but over yourself. Discipline is not about self-improvement, it is about self-governance. It is the ability to delay reaction, to deny impulse, to remain intact under pressure. And those who possess it do not need to demand respect. They create an atmosphere where resistance feels pointless. This is why discipline unsettles people. It reminds them of what they lack, not motivation, not talent, control. And control in every era has been the true currency of power. Centuries before psychology had a name, Niccolò Machiavelli saw through the lie that still comforts people today. He understood that human beings are not driven by goodness, they are driven by advantage. What looks like morality is often calculation. What sounds like principle is usually fear. And what passes for virtue collapses the moment status is threatened. People do not follow the most ethical person in the room, they follow the most contained one. Restraint signals power, consistency signals inevitability, and emotional unavailability signals danger. This is why discipline changes how you are treated long before it changes what you achieve. The undisciplined man negotiates with reality. He explains himself, he seeks approval, he waits for permission. The disciplined man does none of this. He moves without announcement, he repeats without complaint, he acts without emotional noise, and the human mind reacts instinctively. Because what cannot be emotionally moved cannot be easily dominated. Machiavelli understood that ignorance is not innocence, it is exposure. To misunderstand human nature is to step onto the board as a pawn, valuable only as long as you serve someone else's strategy. Understanding, however, changes your position. It gives you leverage, not over others first, but over yourself. Discipline is not about self-improvement, it is about self-governance. It is the ability to delay reaction, to deny impulse, to remain intact under pressure. And those who possess it do not need to demand respect. They create an atmosphere where resistance feels pointless. This is why discipline unsettles people. It reminds them of what they lack, not motivation, not talent, control. And control in every era has been the true currency of power. You've been taught a comforting lie, that discipline is about motivation, that if you feel inspired enough, you'll act. That progress is emotional. It isn't. Motivation is a mood. And moods are cheap, unstable, and easily manipulated. Discipline is not emotional. It is architectural. Motivation asks how you feel. Discipline decides what happens regardless. This is where most people fail without realizing it. They build their lives on feelings, and then wonder why everything collapses under pressure. You don't lose because you lack desire. You lose because your structure is weak. Sincerity does not protect you. Honesty does not shield you. Hard work does not make you untouchable. Strategy does. The world does not reward effort in isolation. It rewards positioning, timing, consistency without explanation. This is why disciplined people appear cold, unreachable, difficult to disrupt. They are no longer reacting to the environment. They are operating above it. When chaos arrives, and it always does, the undisciplined man negotiates. He explains himself. He justifies delays. He waits for conditions to improve. The disciplined man does none of this. He executes inside the storm. Here is the question that exposes everything. If someone wanted to destabilize you, emotionally, socially, psychologically, could they? Could they shame you, distract you, pull you into reaction? Or have you already removed the handles they use to move you? Because the moment your actions no longer depend on emotion, you stop being controllable. And once you are no longer controllable, you are no longer playing the same game as everyone else. You are playing to win, not to be understood. Most people are obsessed with outcomes, winning arguments, being respected, getting results, and yet they are completely unmanaged internally. They react first. They speak too fast. They leak emotion through their tone, posture, and timing. They think they are in control, but every provocation moves them like a string. This is why they lose. Power does not begin outside you. It begins in the space between stimulus and response. The undisciplined man explodes, or worse, he explains himself. Both are confessions of weakness. The disciplined man does neither. He absorbs pressure without showing damage. He delays reaction until reaction is no longer required. He lets others reveal themselves while he remains unreadable. This is not restraint for morality's sake. This is restraint as strategy. In chess, the amateur reacts to every threat. The master ignores noise and plays for position. Control yourself, and outcomes begin to bend without force. Lose control internally, and no external victory will save you. Before you attempt to dominate circumstances, before you try to command respect, before you seek leverage, ask yourself one question. Who is currently in control of your reactions? If the answer isn't you, then you are already behind the board. Loud discipline invites resistance. Quiet discipline creates mystery. What people cannot see, they cannot sabotage. Undisciplined people need to feel aligned. Disciplined people execute like soldiers in fog. No mood, no drama, just movement. Every distraction is the leash. Every routine is armor. Most people decorate their cages. The disciplined dismantle them. Reputation is fragile. It lives in other people's mouths. It can be distorted, poisoned, rewritten overnight. Consistency cannot. Reputation is noise. Consistency is signal. When you rely on reputation, you are at the mercy of crowds, moods, and narratives you do not control. One rumor, one failure, one moment taken out of context, and the image collapses. This is why disciplined individuals do not protect their image. They build systems. Masks eventually crack. Charisma fades, performance slips, but a system does not need applause to function. A system executes whether it is praised or attacked, whether it is seen or ignored. Most people perform discipline when they are watched. They disappear when the spotlight moves. That is not discipline. That is theater. True discipline is invisible. It repeats in silence. It compounds when no one is looking. Attack a man's reputation and he panics. Attack a man's system and nothing happens. Because systems endure pressure. They outlast cycles of praise and shame. They turn chaos into routine. This is the difference between those who burn bright and disappear and those who quietly accumulate power over time. If your progress depends on how you are perceived, you are exposed. If your progress depends on what you repeat daily, you are untouchable. Reputation falls, consistency remains. Discipline does something most people don't understand. It removes you from the marketplace. When you are always available, emotionally, socially, psychologically, you are cheap. When you react on demand, when you explain yourself instantly, when you rush to correct perceptions, you signal abundance, and abundance is disposable. Discipline creates scarcity. Not artificial mystery, not manipulation, scarcity through restraint. When you do not react, people fill the silence for you. They project motives. They assume strength or weakness based on their own insecurities. Silence forces interpretation, and interpretation is exhausting. This is why calm unsettles people. It denies them feedback. It denies them control. An undisciplined man leaks information constantly. His tone reveals emotion. His timing reveals urgency. His explanations reveal fear. A disciplined man leaks nothing. He does not correct every misunderstanding. He does not chase clarity. He does not rush to be seen accurately. He lets uncertainty work on others. Calm is not passivity. Calm is pressure applied without movement. In negotiations, the one who speaks first loses ground. In confrontation, the one who explains first surrenders leverage. Most people are not defeated by stronger opponents. They are defeated by predictability. Their reactions are automatic. Their patterns are obvious. Their emotional triggers are public knowledge. Push here, they explode. Question there, they defend. Ignore them, they chase. A disciplined individual breaks this loop. No obvious trigger, no visible rush, no emotional tell. And when others cannot predict you, they hesitate. Hesitation is weakness. While they calculate, you decide. While they react, you execute. This is the quiet asymmetry of power. The disciplined do not dominate loudly. They dominate by being impossible to move. And once someone realizes they cannot provoke, rush, or destabilize you, they either submit psychologically or remove themselves from the board entirely. Both outcomes are acceptable. Here's the paradox. Most people never survive long enough to understand. The moment you need power, it owns you. The moment you crave validation, you become manageable. Needing approval makes you flexible in the wrong direction. It teaches you to bend, explain, soften, and negotiate your edge away. True discipline begins when attachment ends. Not attachment to people, attachment to outcomes. When you need a result, you rush. When you need recognition, you perform. When you need acceptance, you compromise. And every compromise leaves a fingerprint. Power is attracted to those who can afford to lose, who can walk away without flinching, who do not chase what others are desperate to hold on to. This is not arrogance, this is sovereignty. Detachment does not mean apathy. It means your identity is no longer hostage to success or failure. You act because it is correct, not because it is rewarded. You move because it is necessary, not because it is applauded. This terrifies people because they sense it immediately. They feel that you are not negotiating with their opinion, that you are not waiting for permission to exist. The disciplined individual is dangerous because he cannot be threatened with loss. He already accepted it. Loss of approval, loss of status, loss of comfort. Once those fears dissolve, leverage reverses. Pressure no longer compresses you. It reveals others. Deadlines lose their bite. Ultimatums become irrelevant. This is the moment the internal hierarchy flips. You stop seeking direction. You stop asking what is allowed. You stop orienting your decisions around reaction. You become the fixed point. Others orbit or drift away. Both outcomes increase your control. This is where discipline stops being a habit and becomes an identity. You are no longer trying to become powerful. You are no longer chasing structure. You are the structure. And when that happens, the world adjusts to you. Or breaks itself trying. You are no longer a seeker, you are a strategist. This will sound cold. It is meant to. Because warmth is what kept you obedient. Softness is what made you predictable. Innocence is what made you useful to everyone except yourself. The world rewards those who understand it, not those who wish it were fair. Awareness does not feel empowering at first. It feels isolating. It strips comfort away. It forces you to see how often people move out of self-interest, fear, and status anxiety. Once you see this, you cannot unsee it. You will notice how discipline intimidates, how silence unsettles, how consistency without explanation threatens fragile egos. You will also notice something else. Many people will stop feeling comfortable around you, not because you are cruel, but because you are no longer pliable. You no longer rush to explain. You no longer perform morality for approval. You no longer negotiate your standards to be liked. This is the cost of power. Most people will never pay it. They will choose comfort over control. They will choose reaction over structure. They will choose to remain visible, noisy, and harmless. If that is what you want, walk away now. But if something in you recognizes this truth, if you are tired of being moved by pressure, tired of defending yourself, tired of explaining your existence, then understand this. This channel is not entertainment. It is not motivation. It is not self-help. It is orientation. Do not subscribe to support MindForge. Do not subscribe out of habit. Subscribe to mark the moment you stop being reactive, the moment you chose discipline over impulse, structure over emotion, strategy over noise. This is not for everyone. It was never meant to be. Welcome to the inner circle.